So today what we're going to do in the next half hour is we're going to go over the new construction oversight inspection for the municipalities. So because of the new, changes to the permit last year and because of the new law that went into effect on January 1st, the USWAC is actually starting to put out kind of some more stuff. Well, this doesn't come from USWAC, but they're starting to put out a lot of stuff to the MS4s to help standardize everything across the board, right? And so one of the things that they've updated this year is the construction oversight inspection form. You'll notice here that now we have a little thing that says electronic inspections as an option, if that's how they're conducting their inspection. But I want to go over it so that we all understand what it is that the MS4s are looking for when they go out on our sites. And, this will kind of help you understand why we do things the way that we do things, because this is the checklist that they're following. So if you can imagine, a lot of these MS4 people, they might be new to the job. Some of them have been in there a long time, but it seems like there's a lot of turnover and new people come in and out every few years. So this might be a brand new person. And what are they going to do? They're going to pull up this form and they're just going to go line by line and check it. So I want you to pay attention to what the number one thing is. First thing that they look at when they get on the site. First thing is the SWPPP signage posted? Let's see if I can make it a little bigger there. Is the SWPPP signage posted at the site entrance clearly visible and does it include the required information? So not just is it posted, but is it clearly visible and does it have the required information? Oops. All the time we get comments from the MS4s that say, it doesn't have the site contact name, or it doesn't have such and such, or it doesn't have whatever, right? So what it has to have on there is the permit tracking number. So that's the UTRC or UTRH number. And then it has to have a contact and their information. And the next one, because we keep all of our SWPPs online in Compliance Go, the second question is a copy of the SWPPP available on site, or is its location clearly indicated on the posted signage and accessible within a reasonable time? So that's why we have to have that QR code on there. So very important, because that is the very first thing that the municipal inspector is going to check when they get out on site. Is the SWPPP sign there? Does it have the right information? Does it have the location of the SWPPP on it? Okay, so this is important that we make sure when we're doing when we're setting up the sites in Compliance Go, we got to make sure that we have the right contact person. We also have to have contact information in there. We have to have a phone number. We don't necessarily have to have an email. That's great to have on there, but that's not as necessary. But the phone number is required. So as we're setting up our sites in Compliance Go, make sure that information is in there. Make sure it's correct so that we have that. So that's numbers 1 and 2. Very important. Next is number 3, are effective track-out controls installed and maintained at all egress points. Okay, so first thing first, are the track-out controls installed? That's what they're looking for. Are they installed and maintained? We got to make sure every time if there are going to be multiple exit routes, right? We've run into this several times recently. But a lot over the years. Sometimes they'll put a track out pad on one exit, but then people will start to go around it. They'll try to circumvent it, or they'll go out a different side of the project. The guys that are driving trucks and stuff, they don't like to go over the track out pads. The whole purpose of the track out pad is to make you bump around and knock off all the dirt. Well, a lot of times they don't like that, right? And so they'll try and find a way to not drive over that. They're not really helping out their general contractor much when they do that, but they're going to try and find ways to get around it. So if there are other open areas where people can egress from, they either have to be blocked off or they have to have stabilized construction entrances if they are going to be using those. Next, in that same one is, are paved surfaces free from track out or sediment accumulation? Now we have 2 questions for this inside of our inspection forms. We say, are the surfaces, paved surfaces outside of the site, off-site, are those clean? And then also on-site. For the MS4s, They don't have two of them. They just have the one. It just says are paved surfaces free from track out or sediment accumulation. Now this can be a lot of things. Recently sent us a picture of down in St. George. There was just a tiny little bit of dirt, and they were complaining about that. So this is free from sometimes gets taken very seriously. Okay. All right. And then they have perimeter inspection. The next section is the perimeter inspection. So they're looking for, are perimeter controls properly installed? So they're going to be going around the perimeter of the site. Now, keep in mind that the new CGP that came out in 2024 specifies that perimeter controls only need to be installed downslope from disturbed areas, or upslope if there is going to be water flowing onto the site from the upslope side, right? That could cause erosion. But for the most part, perimeter controls need to be only downslope. So that's what they're going to check for. Downslope from disturbances, are there perimeter controls that are properly installed? And are they effectively preventing sediment from leaving the site? Okay, that's how they're going to tell if it's properly installed. That's how we should tell if they're properly installed as well. Is this perimeter control? I mean, that's the whole goal of the perimeter control, right? Is this perimeter control going to stop sediment from leaving the site with no visible evidence of sediment discharge beyond the site boundary? So that's what we're looking for when we're looking at it. That's what they're looking for too when they're looking at it. Another one that we don't often talk about is natural buffers. Okay, so one of the things that's specifically in the inspection form here for the MS4s are natural buffers maintained around water bodies within 50 feet of earth disturbances. And are these buffers effectively minimizing sediment discharge? So again, that's what they're looking for. If there's water bodies, there needs to be at least 50 feet of natural buffer, natural vegetation between that water body and the construction site. If there's not, then they have to have equivalent sediment controls, which typically means two, double perimeter control. Number 6 here is the operator ensuring that stormwater discharges are free of visible pollutants, prohibited discharges, or sediments impacting waters of the state or unprotected storm drains. So this one's kind of it's kind of nebulous. Okay, they're kind of looking for whatever kind of meets this criteria. Are operators ensuring that stormwater discharges are free from visible pollutants? So again, anytime that the discharge is going to be off the site, is that discharge going to have any type of visible pollutant, prohibited discharge, or sediment within it? And there has to be protections in place to stop that. Perimeter controls obviously are the best and most effective method, but there could be other things that are needed if there are areas where water could be leaving the site with pollutants. Okay, so they're going to be looking at that. Number 7, are velocity dissipation devices installed at outfalls, along drainage channels, or other locations to slow down runoff and prevent erosion? This is a good one to talk about that we don't often get to talk about. So, what's a velocity dissipation device? Anybody know?
Slow the flow.
Slow the flow. Good, perfect. What's an example of a velocity dissipation device?
Riprap.
Good. Riprap is a great velocity dissipation device. Okay, so it slows it down, right? If you have a bunch of rocks and the water has to hit those rocks before it leaves, before it goes to where it's supposed to go, is that going to slow the water down? Absolutely, it's going to slow it down. So that's what a velocity dissipation device is. What are other examples of velocity dissipation devices?
Check dams.
Check dams, perfect. Check dams are a great example of velocity dissipation devices. Okay, so what are drainage channels?
Like a drainage swell.
Like a swale, perfect, good.
Carries water from one end of the site to the next.
Yes, anything on the site that is designed to allow water to flow, whether it's designed that way or whether it's just naturally happening that way, anything on the site where water flows in a continuous area or in a single path is a drainage channel. Now, a lot of times drainage channels include stuff like curbs and gutters, right? Curbs and gutters are a fabricated drainage channel. They're designed to force stormwater to go into the gutter and flow down the gutter. Do we need velocity dissipation devices in gutters? Sometimes, right? Sometimes we installed check dams at a site at up there in Ogden once, right? Sometimes they do need velocity dissipation devices, but not necessarily for the same purpose. If you look at question number 7, it says to slow down runoff and prevent erosion. Okay, so water in a curb is not going to be causing erosion, or in a gutter, sorry, is not going to be causing erosion, right? So that's the velocity dissipation devices in a gutter, not necessarily for the same reason, but anywhere where stormwater channels and could cause erosion, we need velocity dissipation devices. That's a lot of times that's the reason. Sometimes you might have to install a perimeter control upslope of a disturbance, right? Let's say you have a big hillside that has been graded out. And I was talking to Bruce and Doug the other day, and we were talking about potentially putting straw wattle or even silt fence at the top of a grading, atop of where they're going to grade a really steep slope. The reason that we would want something at the top of the slope, it's not designed to go there so that it holds back sediment or holds back pollutants, right? It's designed to slow down the water flow so that when the water goes down the slope, it doesn't just cut through and erode through the slope. Okay, so if you have a site and you're out on site and you're looking at a site that has a whole bunch of rills, you know what the rills are? They're those little cuts through a hillside. The water makes those when it runs down the hillside, right? If there's a lot of that rilling, it's destabilizing the soil, and the soil could collapse, and the whole hillside could be in trouble. So we're going to need some velocity dissipation devices. We're going to need something maybe at the top of the hillside, and then we may even need check dams coming down the hillside. So keep an eye out for that as well. All right, next is interior site inspection. We have inlet protections. We can talk a lot about inlet protections, but does anybody remember what the 3 types of inlet protection are? Who's got it? 3 types of inlet protection.
In, out, and around.
Okay, nice. We have inlet inserts, right? Inlet covers and inlet barriers. Okay, so ones that go inside the inlet to protect the inlet, ones that go over the inlet, those are the covers, and ones that go around the inlet. So inserts, covers, and barriers are the 3 types of inlet protections. All the storm drains within and immediately adjacent to the construction site, if a storm drain is going to be the first in line to receive runoff from a construction site, has to be protected. Okay, so you could use gravel bags or something. Of course, as soon as they break, then all of that dirt and gravel is going to go right into the inlet as well. But good point here. When you're looking at an inlet insert, you want to check to make sure that it's no more than 50% full. Okay, if it's 50% full, you want to empty it. You want to clean it out. That's for an inlet insert. For an inlet cover, you want to make sure that any accumulated sediment in or around the inlet has been removed. Okay, and that's the same for an inlet barrier. An inlet barrier has the 50% rule as well. If you have a gravel bag, if a sediment has accumulated up to 50% up the gravel bag, then you need to clean it. You need to get it removed. All right, next up, number 9, are soil and material stockpiles adequately protected from erosion? Okay, soil and material stockpiles, what do they need to be adequately protected from erosion and sediment transport? Okay, so one of the things that they talk about here, they talk about covers. Sometimes if you're going to have a stockpile that's going to be in place for a long time, the best way to protect it from erosion and sediment transport, because now we're not just talking about water erosion, but we could also be talking about wind erosion, right? Could be to use covers. Silt fences are another way to go around those, and other appropriate BMPs. Now, if a stockpile is inside of a perimeter control and any stormwater runoff of that sediment is just going to take it to another place within the construction site, then you typically don't need a second protection around it. But if there's a stockpile that is located outside of the perimeter controls, it needs its own perimeter control around that stockpile. Okay. All right, number 10, are effective suppression measures such as water spraying or mulching implemented on exposed soil areas to prevent excessive dust generation? So again, one of the things that we have to look at here, even though we are a stormwater, even though this is a stormwater pollution prevention plan, we also have to look at other forms of erosion such as wind erosion. Okay, and so when it gets really dry in the summer months and we start to have stockpiles, or we start to have people driving on dry exposed sediments and soils, that can kick up a lot of dust. and that can get carried away as well. Now, we've had a couple of times, maybe a lot of you guys don't remember these, but we've had a couple of times where we've had to write actual full fugitive dust control plans, not just the standard fugitive dust control plan that files the NOI, but sometimes if there is a lot of dust problems, then the Department of Air Quality will actually ask us to file a full fugitive dust control plan. I've written several of those. They're real fun. So number 11, are erosion control measures implemented effectively on slopes? So again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but slopes need to have effective erosion control measures, and that might mean that you have to have a perimeter control, what we would typically call a perimeter control, up at the top of the slope, right? Also, disturbed areas and other vulnerable areas, including areas with no construction activity for 30 days. So if we have areas that are going to be vulnerable and no construction activity is going to be on them, we need to provide some sort of a stabilization. One of the things that's becoming much more common is the use of erosion control blankets. So take a look on your sites. If you have areas that are vulnerable, such as steep slopes or other tracts of land that are not going to be have construction on them for more than 30 days, we need to get something down on those to make sure that they don't erode away. Okay, number 12 is vegetation preservation. Slope disturbances, topsoil management, and soil compaction being effectively managed to prevent potential impacts on water quality. So they just kind of throw everything, all four of these things together into one question. And so that's what they're looking at. Remember, with the new permit in 2024, vegetation preservation is better worded to show that what they're talking about is they want vegetation preserved on site wherever possible, unless there could be an impact to water quality through groundwater, pollution into groundwater. So it used to be that we would just say, you know what, we're going to grade this whole thing out. It's just not feasible for us to wait and grade it out later. Now what they're saying is feasibility means that, it could cause pollution to groundwater if we leave that topsoil there and channel that, or that vegetation there, and channel that that water to that vegetated area. So we got to take a stronger look at that. And a lot of the municipalities are going to be looking at areas that could be preserved vegetation instead of just clearing and grading the entire site. All right, number 13, spill prevention procedures, okay? Are effective spill prevention, containment, and pollution discharge minimization measures in place for all equipment, fueling, maintenance, and washing activities. This is a big one because this typically gets overlooked, right? We have a client that recently we went up and I did a training for them, and they realized, you know what, I don't think we are actually providing spill kits out on our sites anymore. A spill kit is required on your site. It doesn't matter if you're going to have fuel and oil storage on your site, you're going to have vehicles on your site. And so a spill kit is required out on your site. Make sure that all of your sites have spill kits. If they don't, then make sure that you're annotating that in the spill prevention area of your inspection, and make sure that we're always communicating with our clients that spill kits are important. One of the other things that is really easy for the municipalities to see is the dark spots on the dirt where there has been some oil leaks or fuel leaks or anything from vehicles. Those are really easy to spot. If you have a client, if we are working with a client and they have a piece of equipment that is having some trouble with some leaks, let's make sure and suggest to them that they get a drip pan. And if they need some help getting a hold of a drip pan, then I'm sure we can find one for them. Very important to throw that under the truck when the vehicle is not in use, to make sure we're capturing that stuff. Okay. Next up, chemical storage and hazardous waste areas. We don't have a lot of chemical storage and hazardous waste areas on our sites, but if you end up on a site that has chemical storage or hazardous waste, make sure it has to be in secondary containment or indoors, right? It has to be undercover or in secondary containment, and we have to watch out for those. Next, our waste management practices, effective. Remember, the dumpsters and the portable toilets are part of the SWPPP. We have to make sure that the dumpsters are being managed properly, mainly so that blowable trash doesn't come out. And the portable toilets, as always, are huge risk of very dangerous pollutants, right? Including sanitary wastes and also the chemicals that are used inside of portable toilets. Designated areas for concrete. This is a big one that comes up. Concrete washout, but also paint and other construction material washout. So stucco washout, paint washout, things like that. Those are big deals. The concrete washout kind of everybody knows about. We look for that all the time. But if you're on exterior, when we move, when the stage of construction moves into the exterior phase, that's when we start to come up with paint and stucco washout. So as you're walking around your buildings that are being finished and they are in that exterior phase, look on the ground and make sure that that they're containing that paint stuff, that they're putting down stuff to contain paint and stucco, spills as well as washout. Okay, next one, number 18. This is why we harp on the site maps so much, right? This is one of the things that we do. Yes.
Question on the washouts. Does that include like slurry from concrete cutting?
Yes, concrete cutting slurry has to be contained. Yes, absolutely. That is that's not so much because of the lye in the concrete at that point, but more so because the slurry is a pollutant just like sediment, right? So yes, has to be contained. All right, good question. Thank you. Next up, again, so we always harp on the map. Why do we always harp on the map? Because this is one of the things, if I'm a brand new inspector from an MS4 and I'm reading through number 18, what does it say? Do the stormwater controls match those indicated on the site map? The site map has to match what's actually on site. Nothing can be on the site map that is not on site, and nothing that is on site cannot be on the site map. Okay, so number 18 there, the site map must match what is actually on site. Then they're checking, are they designed, installed, and maintained according to the BMP specifications? So really they're looking here in to see if the BMPs are adequate, but also are the BMPs that are on site, do they match what's on the site map? Very important that our maps match what's actually on site, right? All right, next up is the SWP review. We're not going to go over the SWP review today. They have a different form also for SWP review that we'll go over probably next week. But that is the actual on-site inspection that the MS4s are doing. Any questions about what we've gone over today? All right, good. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that everybody knows what it is that the MS4s are looking for when they go out on site. These are the same things that we have to highlight to our clients because if we highlight it to our clients, they have an opportunity to fix it before they get hit with a violation. If the MS4s come out and they see this stuff on the sites, that's when they start the escalating enforcement procedures and they start giving the notice of violations. All right, so that's what we're looking for. That's what we want to make sure we're doing. And as we're writing the plans, as we're communicating with our clients, we need to know what it is that the MS4s are looking for out on site. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you later.